Um, I think what I find fascinating is this change of strategy of the UAW to hit all three in some shape or form at once. Why did they change the strategy?
It is an interesting strategy and is a departure from historical approaches to the automakers. I think their view was to try to maximize the impact, and of course they're selecting targeted plants within those three companies. It's not all of the plants and all of the companies, but it's an interesting approach, and I think it'll be effective.
Right, and the plants that they are targeting are those. I mean, they're not targeting the finishing plants, where the thing's already done. They're targeting those plants that will have knock-on effects for further plants that have to do more work.
They are targeting some assembly plants. So with Stellantis, they're targeting the Wrangler and Gladiator plant, which is in Toledo, Ohio. For Ford Motor Company, they're targeting Michigan Assembly Plant, which assembles the Ranger midsize pickup truck and the Bronco Sport Utility. And for General Motors, it's in Wentzville, Missouri, which is a truck plant. It's a pickup truck, a midsize pickup truck plant. So they are in fact targeting end item assembly plants.
And the gap between the two sides is huge at the moment. I've heard both Mary Barr speaking and I've heard the CEO of Ford speaking. They don't seem ready to give much ground yet.
Well, the union was requesting approximately 40% wage increase. They were asking for elimination of the tiered payments. Mm-hmm. They're also asking for a return to pensions and would like cost of living allowances. And the union's viewpoint on this is during the Great Recession of 2007, 2008, the unions gave up a lot. And so two of the three automakers went into bankruptcy. And so the unions did contribute, and they did create concessions such that those companies could come out of bankruptcy, be viable, and in fact be successful. And so the union's looking back on that saying, okay, now the three automakers are profitable. They're doing quite well. They're making this transition from ICE to EVs. They would like to be compensated for those concessions that they made, more than 12 years ago.
When you put it like that, it's a justifiable request. The question, of course, is can the companies afford it, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that's really the challenge is from a labor standpoint, you want to be compensated. You're interested in job security. You're interested in cost of living allowances, even perhaps a return to pensions. On the flip side of that, Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis need to be competitive. And one of the things that CEOs are thinking about, one of the things that keeps them awake at night is how do you make EVs, how do you make electric vehicles both affordable and profitable? And so both parts of those components are how do you keep costs down or how do you reduce costs? And labor costs are certainly an element of those costs. But so it's a challenge for the automakers right now.
I'm just looking, if you take Stellantis, which of course is the merged Fiat, French PSA, Chrysler, these are very complicated organizations with multiple different constituencies globally, which is not unique in a sense to the car companies, but it seems to be more difficult now.
Well, sure, I think it's a little bit more complex for a company like Stellantis that has significant operations in Europe, and the headquarters is being run out of Paris, and also in Fiat, which of course is primarily in Italy, and then the Chrysler component, which is in North America. General Motors, at one point, was also a global automaker. They've largely withdrawn in terms of operations in Europe, so it's primarily North America and China for General Motors. And Ford Motor Company still has a European component as well, but they're primarily in the United States. So a little bit more complex for a company like Stellantis, a little more focused for Ford and General Motors.
I won't hold you to this one. I promise you, I won't hold you to this answer. How long do you think this strike lasts?
I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful that it's a very short work stoppage. I think it'd be, if they could do it within a week, I think it'd be fantastic. One of the difficulties with a work stoppage is stopping and restarting the supply chain.
Yeah.
These automakers have incredibly complex supply chains that reach all the way around the world. So, of course, North America, but in some cases, Japan, China, and Europe. And when you turn off the supply chain, you stop ordering raw materials. The tier 2 suppliers stop ordering raw materials. And so everything, and then you send workers home because some of these companies can't continue to build parts if they don't have a customer for them. Restarting is difficult. And we saw that in the pandemic, especially in the semiconductor space. It took quite a while before semiconductors were flowing unconstrained to the automaker.
Sir, it is good to see you. I'm grateful. You gave us great insight. Thank you.